maybe keeping something to themselves and being very combative and not wanting to talk to you about it. Looking at the King of Swords as the overall, if this is the way that you're kind of looking at the situation, it's like needing to think clearly about, the way that they're acting and the things that they're telling you. Thinking clearly and making a choice based on clarity, especially with the sun being there. Now, you could also be dealing with somebody, though, who is trying to rationalize why they're acting the way that they are. There is something that they are keeping to themselves. For you, I think that you're putting in a lot of effort in trying to understand what is kind of going on here. So you come in with the Five of Cups. This is being let down, being emotionally disappointed, emotional pain. But with the Eight of Cups on their side, it more than likely is going to have to do with the fact that this person has walked away from you, or kind of like left you wondering where this relationship was going. The Eight of Cups on their side, it's like they're looking at it and going, it's not worth giving any more to. And I can understand how emotionally that would affect you. But I look at the King of Swords and think you're going to have to process what you understand about this person and make the right choice here. I think that you do move on, and I think that it's easier for you to move on. They, though, are going to stay in this place of like not being able to move forward, though. And I'm interested as to why they're still hung up on you in this relationship if they weren't willing to tell you something. Because I look at the High Priestess and I think, this is things that they're keeping, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing, but they're not being, open with you about the way that they're feeling. When you're looking at the Eight of Pentacles, you're talking about a relationship that takes a lot of hard work to understand what this person is going through emotionally, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. But when you move out of this, though, with the Hermit, this is you, not necessarily like cutting it out, but like you're on your own. It makes me wonder, when was the last time you actually had contact with this person? And I think for a lot of you, you're kind of like looking at things now, doing the deeper soul searching with the Hermit, if I could talk right. But they are being defensive because there is something that they're not wanting to reveal or not wanting you to know in regards to how they feel about this relationship. And the way that they're communicating to you is from a place of being emotionally detached, if we're looking at the King of Swords. The thing, though, is with the Sun, all of that kind of comes out. Everything's brought out into the open, so it's not like it's something that's going to stay hidden forever. That's the good news here. But I look at the King of Wands as you, whether you're male or female, and it being a little bit easier for you to move on if this person isn't willing to, speak up about how they're feeling. But yet they're still the ones that are being kind of like hung up here. It's like they can't get over it. They made a choice to move on from you. They may still be feeling something here or there's something that they're not wanting to, reveal to you. And it's too much effort for you. That's too much work. It shouldn't be that way, and for you, it's like needing to put your attention into something else. And more importantly, you being able to move on. Now, what is coming out, though, and what you may be understanding could have to do with this person, though, looking at the King of Wands. So I want to clarify that in the Hangman, because with this, it could be that what you're seeing here, what's being made clear, is that this person will never commit, never follow through on something, and you'll forever be in this like period of like waiting for them to figure out what the hell they're going to do. But I don't know. For some of you, I feel like you're dealing with somebody who's still very hung up on you. And then not only that, but if you kind of like separate yourself from the situation to take some time to think about things, it's like they're not liking that, but it's their fault. They should be speaking up and saying something. At this point, I think it's a little bit too late, especially considering this person that you're dealing with may have already made a choice to move on from you in this relationship. I don't think that you're fully invested in this, and I don't think that there is a reason to believe that, how do I put this? I'm looking at this and I feel like for a lot of you, this person is going to be really happy at the fact that you're going to be reevaluating whether or not it's worth your time and effort. You know, they're wanting you to still consider them even though they're having security problems and they can't like get over that. The Hangman. With the Queen of Pentacles, we could be talking about somebody here that needs to gain their own independence here and they're having a hard time doing that, or they don't know what to do to start doing this. With the Empress, I feel like this, looking at, you know, the Knight of Pentacles, if you're looking at it together with the both of you, this is really wanting to, you know, get to a place where there is an ability to enjoy this relationship, but, you know, slow and steady. There's slow progress, but there may be children involved, people that this person has to take into consideration before they do anything. You know, so it makes me wonder if, you know, they're not being upfront and honest about, you know, their situation and needing to gain some, you know, sense of self-security though too, not just physical, like making sure everything's okay for them before, you know, they move forward with the relationship with you. You may be looking at it though with the Knight of Pentacles like it's not really going anywhere, but it may take a little bit. And it's almost like they want you to understand this and continue to, you know, look at the possibility of there being potential growth in the relationship. Obviously, with the Seven of Pentacles, you may not be happy with what you've seen. I mean, clearly here. You're really taking some time to consider this, though. Going back to the Hermit, but there is a part of you that is not going to commit to anything. You know, I think that for them, they're just going to be happy that you're going to reconsider, especially if, you know, this situation is what's kind of coming out in the open here. But with the Sun, everything is being made clearly. You have to make sure that the choice that you make moving forward is based on a clear decision, right? A clarity before you make a choice here. My God, if I could spit it out and talk right. I'm sorry, Leo. Because I go back to the King of Swords and think that this information is coming out, but you're going to have to be logical about the choice that you make moving forward. But then at the same time, I don't think that any of you are willing to commit that, or you're dealing with a person who can't really follow through on anything right now for you. But as long as you're willing to at least consider the possibility of this relationship going further, I think that that's what's going to make them happy in the long run. And then the Four of Cups. Here's the thing. Somebody made a choice here that ended a relationship or changed the relationship where you can't go back to what it was. Looking at the Lovers with Death. With the Five of Cups, we're talking about an apology coming through here, but still things ending in a very painful way. And that may be something that you can't get past, especially if they left you for another person. You know, but what happens here though coming out is you're looking at the Ten of Pentacles with the Four of Cups. This is talking about the routine, same old in the relationship, stagnation. With the Ten of Pentacles though, you're talking about self-reflection. You know, is this who you really want to be within this relationship? You know, I don't think that somebody can get past the fact that there was such a difficult ending, a painful ending here, where I think somebody left you or you left them for another person. But you do look like you're getting back together. But the thing is that it's just the same thing over again. Nothing has actually changed. You know, the only thing that has changed is that there is somebody that I don't think that is, you know, actually getting over what has happened. And then the Ace of Wands, there is an opportunity for a new beginning, but you're going to have to take a look at yourself and ask yourself if this is something that you want to be a part of again. Because I really feel like this is what's happening here. The Seven of Wands, like I said, you know, this is somebody who feels secure. They're overcoming doubts. They're overcoming their doubts about, you know, somebody who has made a choice here to change the relationship. And that means ending it in a very bad way by doing something that they should have done. The Tower specifically is about deceit, lies, jealousy, cheating. And that, I believe, is something that You or the other person here has an inability to get over. It's not that easy. But you fall into this kind of like blasé pattern here with the Four of Cups. And again, there is the opportunity here with the Ace of Wands to walk away from the past, but, is somebody actually doing that? And is that, the type of relationship that you want to be in? This could have been a very long-lasting, abundant relationship, looking at the Ten of Pentacles. But given that we're looking at everything here, I think it is more important that you have more love for yourself, right? And for some of you, you may be looking at this going, no, my self-respect is by far more important than possibly having a new beginning with you, especially if I feel like you have not changed as a person. If that makes sense. The Two of Wands from the bottom to clarify, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Three of Cups. Not bad. For those of you who are in a relationship, this looks really good. And it's okay. It's okay to trust. It's okay to believe that there is going to be more in this relationship than just a physical connection, that this person actually wants to take this the long haul. So with the Knight of Wands coming in and looking at the Two of Wands, for a lot of you, this could be about getting in a relationship here where it's like out of nowhere, just sweeps you off your feet. You're getting to know this person and boom, you're gone. Running with all that passion with this person. It's not bad. Now, on the other hand, it may have been like acting a little bit too quickly and needing to take a time out here to kind of get them to know them a little bit better with the Two of Wands. And we slow down here. Good Christ. The Ace of Swords is about trust. Truth and trust. Trusting this person, right? Or at least trusting them enough to handcuff you, right? But with the Ace of Pentacles, you're talking about more than sex. This is wanting more than that. Wanting to have that long-term relationship, which is great. So this is learning to trust here, and then looking at it's safe for you to love. This all looks really good. With the Knight of Cups, absolutely, it's about somebody wanting to have that kind of emotional connection with you, that encounter here. And with the Three of Cups, for some of you, it may be getting back together with somebody, because I look at the Three of Cups and, like I've always said, the Three and the Nine of Swords. Both of these cards are about getting back together, but this is specifically about mending a broken heart. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this person broke your heart, but it may be that they come in and kind of fix issues that you may have had from the past, because you chose here to trust them and believe that there's a reason to have something realistic with them. All of it looks really good. Two of Swords. Oh my God. Everything looks so great. But really it's not. And I think that these are your underlying issues, only because you are being the one told that it is safe for you to love. Oh my God. The Page of Swords makes me kind of wonder if we're not talking about somebody who's been like eyeing you, possibly stalking you, maybe a little bit obsessed here. The Page of Swords, though, could be about, somebody else kind of like trying to butt in on your relationship where they don't belong, right? Now, with the Eight of Swords, we're talking about being uncomfortable, being put in an uncomfortable position here, and you're needing to learn to trust and believe here that there is going to be, something more realistic with this person. What I worry about here is that for some of you, you may have gotten into a relationship a little too quickly. Everything looks good on the surface, but what is going on in your mind is completely different here with all the swords showing up. And then the Two of Swords coming out, I think that there's going to be some hesitation on your part on whether or not to actually connect with this person. But I feel like you do. I feel like you do. The Eight of Swords, though, is it that you're having a hard time trusting them because you know of other people that, they are kind of like looking at or interested in? That may be a problem, though, too. It's like they're not just looking at you, but they're looking at other relationships, too. And I can understand, not wanting to be pushed here to do something that you're not comfortable with. It's almost like you need to make sure that, this is something that's worth doing for you. But you're okay, though, and that's the big thing that I want to say here. You're okay. You may not be comfortable with certain circumstances involving this person, But like I said, looking at this, I think that, you kind of get over that though. I think at first you're going to be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want anything to do with you. But I think you may change your mind.